all last week, in fact, ever since Donald Trump mentioned that he was going to run for the presidency and we started realizing he was serious, he's kind of been the star of the show. And last week during the debates, it was even more obvious. And I was thinking about this during the weekend. I was thinking about the animal phrase, alpha male. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that every one of those people on stage, not just the main debate, but also that happy hour debate, the one that Carly Fiorina did really well.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
So take away the word male, because obviously it doesn't apply. Maybe in the animal world it does, but among human beings, females, at least in this country, and most of the free world, females do have a chance to be the alpha person. And in each organization, she would have been in Hewlett-Packard. She would have been the alpha, right? Mm-hmm. Trump is clearly the alpha in the Trump organization, and Jeb Bush was clearly, we didn't know him really, but I mean, we've been with him.
Yeah.
And he's clearly the alpha in his world, right? And they're all that way. They're all the alpha person in their world. But on that stage, I think Trump was the alpha of the alphas.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean he'd be the best candidate or the best president, but he clearly is the one that they all look to. Like in the animal world, the one that's the leader, and that might be a good thing. Maybe we need a leader and somebody who can lead, as long as he leads us in the right direction. Bob Newman is on the phone. He is the CEO and founder of Newman Communications, and we do a lot of work with Newman Communications.
Yes, we do.
One of their publicists is Elise.
Yes, she's wonderful.
So Bob is on the phone to talk to us about the presidential debate. Good morning, Bob. Nice to get to speak to you for the first time. How are you?
Good morning. It's great to speak with both of you, and thank you for everything.
You're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm actually calling from a pseudo-Bush home. I'm calling from Kennebunkport, Maine today.
All right. All right.
I think I agree with you to some degree, but there seems to be what could be a little bit of a division between how people are speaking in polls now versus how they may inevitably vote. Okay, in other words, the Trump phenomenon, I think, has attracted people to say, yes, this is what we're looking for. I do question when it comes to 12 to 14 months or even, 8 to 10 months when they're in New Hampshire or Iowa or elsewhere, if this is the way they go. And the alpha male has also created a group of individuals who really don't know how to deal with it, how to face what is on that stage. Republicans as a whole, and Fox is a great example as Fox News, know that the entertainment value of politics is important. Unfortunately, I think he's taking it to such an extreme that others are being lost, and Governor Bush is clearly one of them in not knowing how to be a street yard bully.
Good point. Good point. Do you know all we have as voters is two things: the words they're saying right now, or perhaps the words they've written. Your company introduces us to many authors, and quite often they are very eloquent writers, and not necessarily so eloquent speakers. And that's the same thing with a lot of politicians. Dr. Ben Carson, I think, is one of those. Although he's looking a lot better lately. But at first, he was kind of faltering because he was more you knew him more for his writing than you did for his speaking. But the other thing we have, in addition to what they say, is what they've done and their track record. And in somebody like Trump or Ben Carson, who never held an office, you don't know how he would vote because they've never voted on any issues. Mm-hmm.
No, and Trump, many of the Republicans at this point are asserting that Trump is not really a Republican, that he's just using the field because it's wide open and Mrs. Clinton is not in there, that he's using the Republican field, kind of and I have a lot more respect for him, but kind of a Michael Bloomberg who went from Democrat to Republican to independent, depending on what he needed to get elected. And if you look at Trump's history in terms of how he's spoken out, it has not usually been, far right, and
right.
He's taking these stance maybe just to attract them. But in the case of Governor Bush, we always say that while their philosophy is different, 41 and 43, and one was moderate and one was very conservative, they both really thrived on the retail politics side. On the other hand, Jeb, we don't see him really thriving on that. We see him more as a policy wonk, one who's passionate about legislation, passionate about programs, and therefore that will not play well in this type of format where it's about entertainment, it's about bullying, it's about who is going to be on top of the pack, as you stated at the beginning of the interview.
But I would argue that even if Donald Trump wasn't in the picture, that it would still be entertaining. I don't know.
I think I agree with there are others in there. Clearly Rand Paul is somewhat cantankerous. Clearly Chris Christie brings an entertaining value to it for some people. So the dogfight would continue, and I think any Republican, in it, should know that's what they're getting into. Years ago, I used to refer to this type of politics as kind of upgraded professional wrestling, and I think to some degree it really is, and it so differs from what they would be required to do as a leader. It's really the opposite. You need dignity, you need compromise. That's not what is shown in these debates.
Well, maybe he hasn't, but Marco Rubio seems to have.
There's no doubt, and he got the biggest bounce of all in it. And I mean, he's clearly articulated since the debates that's the style in which he believes he has always had, whether it be in the legislature, whether it be in the leadership in your legislature, or subsequent to it. And so I think he is going to keep himself a little bit, not on the sidelines, but a little bit on the sidelines of this whole bullying culture, and see if he can get in through that. And he seems, with being a little bit more suave, to be able to do it. Governor Bush, on the other hand, seemed to be lost in being able to do it.
Yeah, it's probably
Governor
true.
Kasich, Governor Kasich, on the other hand, I think he may be one who's able to climb through this, and it would be interesting to see if Carly Fiorina can take that same type of attitude, the Trump attitude.
Oh, I can't wait.
And go one-on-one with him.
Right, I can't wait for the next debate, because she'll probably be included. She, according to the new poll released this morning from NBC, Carly Fiorina is now fourth place. In fourth place, and Ted Cruz is second place, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He got in the most. You wonder in terms of of the Fox questions. He got in, I believe, a little more time, and if not more time, he got in at least some of the best lines and was able to really manage his speak. From a public relations standpoint, far better than some of the others who babbled a little bit.
The John Kasich comment, or the ones I really thought said something about him, showed me that Trump is really the alpha in this field, because he was almost campaigning for Trump while he was up there.
While he was up there debating.
It was interesting to hear him talk. Yeah. Gosh, I wish we had long.
And then the other Kasich that was so interesting was, he invoked God at the one point, but he was invoking him as it related to liberal, entitlement programs. So I think people probably walked away shaking their head and figuring out, what would we really get with John Kasich? Would he be a president who surprised you with a Supreme Court nominee that might be to the left or so?
Boy, I've enjoyed the conversation, Bob. I wish we had longer to talk to you. Don't be a stranger. You're welcome back anytime. That was great. Do you want to give us a website at the end of this, or?
Sure. Just the Newman.com at newmancom.com would be wonderful if people looked at it for all the work we do, from the literary work to the non-literary work. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for what you've all done for us. You've sent us some great guests. Thank you for being a guest yourself today, Bob.
We will continue, Larry. You've been wonderful to us, Robin. Thank you, and have a great day, both of you.
Thank you. Good stuff. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. In Ferguson, Missouri, peaceful protests 1 year after the shooting death of unarmed teen Michael Brown, but then this. Gunfire from a group police say was not part of the protest. Police critically injured one man, saying this is just what they wanted to avoid.
I meet with these groups weekly.